Alberta right now is one of the most productive and richest places in the world. And what are we doing? What are we doing to make this a great center of civilization? My name is Mike McCullough. I'm the editor of Alberta Venture magazine. Alberta these days, we can't help but thinking, is a really rich place. But in a way, it's poor in spirit. If you go back through history, I don't think you can imagine any place in the world that left the kind of legacy of civilization than in northern Italy, specifically the cities of Tuscany in the late Middle Ages. They left a legacy of art, of music, of architecture. You wonder why that is, why there were all of the great geniuses like Michelangelo and Dante and Galileo and so on, all coming at the same time. One thing that's often overlooked is during that period, the north of Italy was by far the most prosperous place in Europe, if not the world. And I think that's what we're trying to get going with the Think Project, is just to kind of have a dialogue here in Alberta about how to make our province a really great place. There's also a lot of really good ideas that are being done right now. I think we should acknowledge the people who are doing that. Here in Edmonton, you have a lot of people working on a River Valley Park proposal, which would be one of a kind in the world. In Calgary, we've had the blossoming of a speakers series, Teatro, which is inviting some of the most vital and interesting thinkers of our time to Alberta and getting big ideas discussed here. I think the next step after that is to develop our own world experts and geniuses here. There are new cities that are really investing in that kind of thing. You look even at places like Dubai and Abu Dhabi, and in China, if you look what they're doing in Shanghai, they're really trying to create that kind of cultural capital that really makes these places more than just rich, but important too. Some of the best ideas never left our boardroom, but people were coming up with wacky things like planting an avenue of trees along Highway 2 between Edmonton and Calgary, and grand boulevards and things like that. Personally, kind of one that I had for a lark was to restore the street names in Alberta. If you go back and look at the city maps from before the 1920s, everywhere there's names. And I'll tell you, it does a lot for what I was talking about earlier in terms of bringing spirit to a place. There's White Avenue, there's Jasper, there's all kind Victoria Park Drive. People don't rhapsodize about 109th Street. There's something about having actual street names. And it's not as if we'd have to make them up, because they existed. And in a kind of fit of utilitarian peak, I think earlier in the 20th century, they were all converted to numbers. I'd love to see all the street names returned to Alberta cities.